Hello everyone, I, Assistant Professor Abhigna Vaishnav, once again welcome you all to the video lecture series for the subject Consumer Behavior for Semester 7 LJ Integrated MBA. Now, in the previous lecture, we are done with our Module 1. Today, we will be starting our Module 2 that will comprise of, we will be treating customers as an individual, wherein the points to be covered are motivation, perception and personality. In this video lecture, we are going to start about motivation. Well, in marketing, it is said the major concepts, the core concepts of marketing are need, want, and demand. But whenever a customer buys something, he never buys with some need, want, or demand. He buys with some motive. So it is very important to learn about the motives, the motivation factor that drives him to buy anything that he requires. Now, as far as motivation is concerned, motivation is a drive that makes person in delivering a behavior that is portrayed. Well, as far as needs are concerned, needs are very basic in nature. A marketer cannot create needs. Needs are something which marketer can make customers aware about the needs but cannot be created. So, as a marketer, you have to focus on the motives part rather than on needs. But if we see the process of motivation, a psychological process that a customer goes through, it always starts with unfulfilled need or desire that stems from you. That will create a drive, that will create a tension amongst you, which will drive you to act in a certain manner. But that behavior, between the drive and the behavior, the differentiating part is the perception, personality, attitude, and the learning part that differs from customer to customers. So from unfulfilled demand to your driving behaviors, you have different personalities, perceptions. So as a marketer, read them, treat them as a different customers and offers different strategies for each. As soon as your behavior is transferred into achievement of goal, that makes your tension a bit of a relief, and that reduction in tension would again generate another unfulfilled need in you, which will again create a tension, and it's an ongoing process. So this is a motivation process for you. Now, as a marketer, focus on first the needs. There are two types of needs: innate needs and acquired needs. Well, innate needs are the primary needs or the physical needs, the physiological needs, which are basics in nature. Acquired needs are something which arouse from the culture or the environment within which we live. They are treated as psychological more and a secondary in nature. Now, goals. What do you mean by goals? Goals are the results of our behavior. That can be generic, that can be product specific. When we portray a behavior to achieve something, that's a generic goal. But we aim, when we act as in we want a particular product or a particular brand, that becomes our goal to achieve. That's a product specific goal. Now, as a marketer, you have to focus on how customer selects the goal. As an individual, you always put preference about the physiological need that you have, the preferences, the personal experiences that you have, the environment, the prevailing norms and values that are there in culture, that also matters. And apart from that, the capacity or the goal accessibility, that also matters as far as selection of goals are concerned. Now, motivation and goals, if you see that, it can be positive, it can be negative. See, positive motivation or positive goals can be your behavior, or there is a positive drive towards the object, whereas a negative goal could be that drives you away from the object. As far as positive motivation or goal is concerned, that's an approach goal. And as far as negative motivation or goal is concerned, that's an avoidance goal. So as behavior wise, if we see, the behavior is directed towards the object, and in the case of negative, the behavior is directed away from the object. That is the main advantage. But as a marketer, I can use both the goals to have the desired performance from the customers. Now, there are rational goals there are emotional goals as well. When the customer selects the goals on the basis of certain objective criteria, like for example, size, color, shape, that's a rational behavior. Emotional behavior means a customer selects goals on the basis of some subjective criteria that is totally based on emotions. That's an emotional goals for you. If you see the dynamism of motivation, keep in mind that needs are never fully satisfied. New needs will emerge as long as the old needs are not satisfied. As long as you satisfied your older needs, the new needs will definitely emerge. Along with that, goals. After one person achieves the goals, he'll definitely have a higher version of the goals for himself. So this is a dynamism of motivation. Now, substitute goals can also be part of that. If you are not able to achieve the goals that you have, simultaneously the substitute goals emerge. That creates tension amongst you and you thrive for achieving that if you are not able to achieve your main goal. Now, at times, if you are not able to achieve certain goals, the feeling of frustration comes in. Now, to deal with frustration, different individuals prefer different mechanisms. So, if you see the defense mechanisms, it could be aggression, it could be your regression, that could be the rationalism, or it could be withdrawal as well. Now, in aggression defense mechanism, to avoid frustration or to come out of frustration, you use this approach. You be aggressive. We have seen in the field of sports, in cricket and tennis, the players display disappointment by showing their aggression to remove their frustration. So that can be a defense mechanism. Rationalism, at times, to come out of frustration, you tell to yourself that the goal was not worthy enough, or you come out with the plausible reasons so that you can come out of the frustration that you are in. Then you have the regression model. At times the customers or an individual behaves like a childish or a very immature behavior that he portrays. Because of that, see, if you see in daily routine transactions, when the person engage in bargaining, he acts like a child. Now that's a regression defense mechanism that you opt for coming out of the frustration thing. Again, withdrawal could be a defense mechanism. To come out of the frustration, you withdraw from the situations. Now, an employee, if he fails to achieve the higher cadre job, he withdraws from the job. That's again a way of defending your frustration. Now, apart from that, there are daydreaming, projections. Then you have other methods to come out of frustrations which you can use. Well, arousal of motives. That's a very important part in motivation. Physiological arousal, emotional arousal, cognitive and environmental arousal. Now, physiological arousal stems from the bodily requirements that comes within that. Now, a reduction in a drop of your blood sugar or a stomach contraction would lead to hunger needs, but obviously a decrease in temperature, body temperature would lead to shivering. That means you require warmth. So, that is your physiological arousal of motives. Emotional arousals. That stems from when a person is engaged in daydreaming to come out of frustration. He acts as if he is in all sorts of situations and unknowingly he is in a dilemma and he acts like if he's in need of many other things. That can be an emotional arousal. Cognitive and environmental arousal says that it's a response, a quick response from the situation that is there. Suddenly an ad comes on TV depicting the home, or the ads is all about the long distance call, the race or international calls. You suddenly remind of calling your parents. That's a cognitive arousal of motives. Now, if you see the philosophies around these arousal of motives, there are two schools of thoughts, behavioral and cognitive school. Behavioral school depicts the mechanical approach. It says that behavior is just a response of a stimulus. Yes, you have to ignore the conscious things that are happening to your mind. So as a marketer, focus on behavioral schools. It's just a mechanism. Cognitive schools of thought says that needs and wants can derive from a goal and that customer is always engaged in achievement of goals. So if that is the case, marketers should follow the goal and the need part of the customers. So as far as this chapter goes, that just does it from my side. The second half I'll be discussing in the next video session. Thank you very much. Keep learning.